Hey everyone, today is January 22nd, and this is SIG ContribEx APAC bi-weekly meeting. Just a note, this meeting abides by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which pretty much comes down to please be nice and excellent to each other. And also, this meeting is being recorded right now, so if you don't want your video or audios to be recorded, feel free to keep your mic and cameras turned off. Thank you. Uh, with that, we were already having some discussion with Sayak before we kicked off the recording. We can continue that in a bit. There are some action items that we can just repeat again on the recording and put them in the document as well. But before that, we have a lot of people on the call who are newcomers to the meeting. Anybody wants to come on mic and or in chat maybe and introduce yourself. We can just take 5 minutes or so. Also, I'll again put a link to the document and chat. Feel free to add yourselves as attendees.
Hello everyone, this is Nishita. I'm
Hi.
back.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask about one issue I mentioned in SIG ContribEx channel. If anyone want to work with me on that issue, it is on automated testing. Uh,
Yeah. I did see your message. I think you sent it yesterday, and I also saw a comment from Tim.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so I will just say, if you can spend some time and maybe document or just put like a not really a document, maybe even in the Slack thread or back on the issue, what you understood so far from that issue and which areas you need help with. Uh, or if you just tried doing something at all, maybe reading through the documentation, or you are trying to read it and trying to understand what is the requirement in that issue, just ask your questions there, and then maybe one of us, or we can find somebody else who is also willing to contribute. We can like have somebody who can help you or who can collaborate with you. The only thing is I did not read through the issue yet, so I do have to do that. But again, the only thing would be if you can ask all your doubts back in the issue, that will attract people right away to help you or to
yeah,
take up like
right.
a subtask or something. So I would say, uh, before you assign that issue, that's perfectly fine, since Tim said he have some coach. The way I read his responses, he can help, but limited help. So um, that's perfectly fine. If you can just start dumping down all your questions that you have in that issue, or if you do not want to like right away maybe put your questions in the issue, put them back in the Slack thread, and then we can try to help you, because right now I just don't know which part you want to collaborate on. But also I haven't looked at the issue, so I will give it a read, and meanwhile if you have already questions, then mm, we can connect on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
let's
ask
let's let's
specific
use the Slack
questions.
thread and to start documenting the. That's fine.
Yeah,
I can uh, also try to give you some resources. Yeah,
yeah.
sounds good.
Thank you so
And I also saw Leisure. Is that your username? I'll call you by that if that's all right. They are also asking, is this beginner friendly? So I don't know, honestly. Let me try to fetch. Nishita, do you have a link to that issue? Maybe if you can, then we can discuss. We
Yeah,
can
I'll
check it.
send just a minute. Just
Yeah. I vaguely remember that it was tagged as a help wanted issue, but it might not be like super beginner friendly. maybe there might be some requirements. Just be comfortable with uh, the existing tooling we have. But I do so there is a message from one another tech lead from SIG Docs who have pointed a link that could be a starting point. If I recall correctly, Nishita, there is a message um, linking to a script that could be a starting point to get started with that issue, right? And since we are talking about that issue, let's wait for the link and then we can continue on that. Um,
Yeah, send.
okay, thank you. I is my screen visible? Somebody can confirm that.
Yeah, Priyanka, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, Dhaval. Um, yeah, so it's a feature request and it's not marked as help wanted, which or a beginner's good first issue. So just assume that there is some bit of reading, learning, or just being um, comfortable around the code base required. And there is this message which actually points to where if whoever is looking at it, Nishita, you can start looking at this script um, to get some hints on what needs to be done. Maybe Nishita, if you can take a look at this Python script, jot down your questions, put them back in the Slack thread or on this issue again, wherever you are comfortable right now. We can take it from there. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. I'll. It will take 5 minutes. I think you should continue with other things. I'll tell you after I tell the specific questions.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. I just it does not have to happen in 5 minutes or on the call. I mean, take your time, and when you are ready, just post them here or back in the Slack thread in
Yeah.
your own comfortable time. Okay. But thank you for uh, bringing that up. Um, okay, and I will just check if anyone else wants to come on mic and introduce themselves, or we can continue. Okay. Um, Sayak, I'll come back to you since Arno is on the call. We can maybe have a quick confirmation from him about the container registry bit. So, do you want to like talk again about the SIG docs container image and maybe probable issues with the container registry move?
Yeah, sure. Give me a moment. I'll just fetch the issue.
Yeah.
Copy. And we go here. Right. So the current issue is that like SIGDocs is not. I'm sorry. The website repo is not building the automated container images anymore, and we are not entirely sure like since when is this not happening, because it's like many don't do it regularly, but we came to know about this if in the last 1 2 months, at the very least, that these builds are not working. It might be due to the recent doxy upgrades, or might be due to some other failures like GCR getting deprecated. But yeah, so the idea is that like the website repo, um, the containers in that website repo get built when like I right now it's like 4 files get updated. So there is a make file which calculates the hash of those four files and creates a container image tagging with that hash. So only if those 4 files get updated, the a new container tag gets generated, which then gets pushed to GCR. And I believe it happens via a prow job. And in fact, I can actually grab the PR which added this feature back in 2020, just for reference. Uh, So this part is not working, and as I am new to all of these things, I am not really sure as to like how to proceed fixing this. Uh, so it probably has something to do with jobs. And since I can't see the logs or anything, I don't know like what exactly is causing the issue. Is it like Toxi causing the issue? Is it infrastructure causing the issue? Is the script broken or what? I'm not really sure about that. And on a similar topic, I was thinking about like once we do get this issue resolved, I was thinking like we can look into doing a similar like container thing for the contributor website too, that we can build a container and push that container to a registry. So again, as I mentioned before, these containers are not pushed on every commits or every PRs or whatever. Like the containers are only created when those 4 files get updated. And the reason is that like the container image doesn't contain the whole source code. The source code, including the content of the website, is actually mounted. So the minimal files which are needed to get the Hugo server up and running, only those files are actually directly copied into the image. So if those files get updated, that's the only time the container image gets built fresh. And the huge benefit that this gives is that like for most who don't want to like run the website or the country website on their local host, they might prefer to like run the website in a container for security purposes, so they can easily run it and just mount their content. But without the image, they will need to build the whole repo first, and then they can start working on it. And if they had the image, they could have just pulled it, right? So that's the whole scenario that we are we are facing right now here. And I was wondering like if anybody from SIG Infra could help. Like yesterday only we had this discussion with the SIG docs meeting last night for me, and we were thinking of approaching SIG Infra today or something. So it's great that you're in the meeting, so I can get a quick input from you.
Anu is the one who created that PR also.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anu, we do not want to like super make you into a work mode right now, but just an FYI, this conversation is happening.
No, it's okay. It's fun. It's bring back basically old memories. So, I need to, historically, for website, we were only focused on build locally. So, because I remember, I think in the Makefile, there's like an instruction to build locally, and there's an instruction to push the image. So there's a pro job, if I remember, to push the image, and I think that's the one with the issue, but I don't see any activity about that. Give me. So okay, just to be sure, is the issue like what's the first issue we want to solve right now? Is like image push or image not found?
Mm. I mean, the image is not there in the GCR, so
Okay. So I
like
think there's an issue with like pushing.
I am not sure like what exactly is the issue since I don't have access to any logs or anything. So I'm just guessing here.
Because what's happening is more like maybe someone is like building this locally and do a manual push.
And they would require access.
And
Just
they will
confirm.
require access.
Okay, so we'll need to find out somebody with
Require,
access.
require access to push, but to
Push.
pull you don't need access. That's what's
Yeah.
happening because like I don't. The thing is when when I check the registry, I see a few image built and push, but it's not consistent. So I'm like, I remember there was like no. Can you put the pull request I create like a while ago in test infra? Oh, wait. Okay. So yeah, we defined the Docker file to build the image, but we never really defined a pro job to push the image.
Yeah, I kind of realized that now. Yeah, I was looking for the image with image name, and it's just giving me. Well,
Oh,
okay.
wait,
Actually, I saw there is one. Let me send the link.
there's a project to push,
Yeah.
which is wait.
There has been an image pushed as of January 8th, I believe. I need to find out the link once more. Uh, on January 8th, an image was pushed this year, but it's inconsistent. So
I think the
Okay.
one thing we like in order to debug is basically trigger another push and see what's happening.
Yeah.
I think that will be easier for you to debug. It's more like wait, who do the approval for those things these days? So in the
So,
let's see. Can
Sag
you
also. Yeah. Go ahead. I know. Sorry.
can you open the a pull request to bump the wait? Okay. Yeah, just bump this line to get the patch version for Golang. That will we will try to like debug what's happening.
And so I think, Sag, that was an action item for you. Arno was
I'm
asking
I,
if you can.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Like,
Do you see the file open on the screen?
right?
Do you see 11 level the line 7?
Docker file, right? Uh, line 7, yeah.
Yeah. Can you open a pull request to change this?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay. Just open pull
And
request to change
you
this
did
and put
change
whatever. I
to.
will I will put a suggestion to basically what to change.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Sag, what Arno is saying, just create a PR, put it in draft state, but
Oh,
just
got it.
create a PR that we need to change the tag for this, or maybe the whole image, and then Arno can uh, jump on that PR and start the discussion on what needs to
Okay,
be changed
okay,
there.
okay. I'll do it. I'll do it.
And also, I put two links. One is testgrid.kds.io, and the right one, the link above that is a prow job. So I'll put them back into the document. But since you said you are not able to access any logs, the test grid link, I will move it to my screen. Um, Open something like this, and there is a job called post website push image Kubernetes website Hugo, and the job is failing, and the logs are inside the job, so it can
Oh,
help um, get the logs as well, like what's happening. Maybe you can try to pull the image locally and reproduce it, and the image to pull would be um, image to pull would be this, if I understand correctly. Correct, Anu. That this would be the image and these would be the commands.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I don't think the pro job has an issue. I think basically the Docker file has an issue because when I check in the test grid, in basically what you put in the failing test I saw on test grade, I feel like it's like an NPM issue.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Y-
saying. I want to like trigger basically by bumping the Docker file. We might like trigger and see if it's not a flake, because it could be also a flake because
Oh, okay. So you just want to trigger. Can we do something like this then? Maybe like add a field here to allow some people to trigger it manually.
yeah, of course we can define a GitHub team to re-trigger the failing job.
Yeah,
But I feel like you want to talk to SIG docs about this, identify who are the person approved to do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Sayak, two things we are talking here. Uh, as you mentioned, any change in these files, Docker file, Makefile, Netlify, or so on, will trigger a job again, a job that will try to push another image. So you can create a PR, just a just a test PR that makes a non-destructive change to any of those files and just trigger a new image build. That is one way to do it. And I think that's the easiest way to do it. Or the other thing would be you can go back to SIG docs, and there is a way. I think I don't recall the name of the field, but there is a field we can add here, and that will allow some people with access to re-trigger it manually. So we can do that later on. For now, maybe what you can do is just what Arno suggested, maybe create a PR for uh, this Docker file, just change some tag that will trigger a image push build, and then we can see if that was a flake or a real issue. And
Understood.
where you can track is the new run will also start showing up here, so you can keep an eye on the logs.
Mm. Thanks for this link. I had no idea about this
The test,
dashboard. So it,
okay,
yeah.
we can uh, uh, discuss that
Yeah,
later.
that I realized like we can see it. Okay, now I'll know for the future. But
Yep,
I think I might even have an idea as to like what exactly is going wrong here, because the stuff that changed during those two dates, I think I understand what is happening. So I will try that. I will try that to at least like ensure that it's not a flake. But I think that the fix might be needed from the docs side itself. Like maybe the cloud build job needs to be fixed. But yeah, I'll do the things.
perfect. And thank you so much, Arno.
Yeah,
We
thank
made
you. Thanks a lot.
use of your expertise on the day one call. Thank you so much. Um, thank you for coming and getting into work mode at 8 a.m. in the morning. Okay. Saya, can I leave some notes to you? Like, can you just document what we discussed and what Arno suggested you in the notes? I can also like try to add whatever is
Yeah,
left
yeah, yeah.
also.
I will put those things in the notes.
Perfect. Uh, so I think you got some pointers to what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Anyone has any questions on anything we discussed so far? Uh, Dhawal, you also were very interested in last time in Prow stuff. Maybe you can, uh, and I think last time I mentioned you can talk to KTS Infra folks. Arno is one of the chairs there. So, Arno, I will ask you, do we have a APAC meeting for KTS Infra now? Uh,
Not yet. We plan to have one this year. I need to finish the mailing list migration before we send the doodle to
oh, okay.
decide which time slot we want to use for the we want one for APAC and EU meeting and one for NA. But yeah, before I think like by February we're gonna reset the meetings.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So there are few people who, Dhawal is one of them, Dhawal Shah on the call, who was interested in doing stuff around infrastructure and Brow. Um, and I asked him last time to uh, check about KDS Infra and maybe reach out there. So there are a few people who will be joining the APAC call. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, just to give you an update, and thank you for bringing it up, Priyanka. So, I've been trying to get my head around PRO because there are it's so big of a system. I'm trying to understand which component is something that I can start working on, and I was going through some issues. But actually, honestly, didn't had that much of time on my hand to go through it along, do a deep dive in it. But yes, I think by in couple of weeks, I would be able to have a handle on how Pro is working and how I can contribute it to better. Yes, I went through the issues, but lots of issues there. They required some understanding. So I guess for now, I'm thinking of attending the test infra calls, but trying to just understand the things first before I jump in and start doing any work. There is a single good first issue on the Pro repo, but it has been a couple of years since it was open, so I'm not sure that is something it's a priority right now.
Okay. I want to clarify two things here. First, PRO is not under the Kubernetes infrastructure group. That's like the first thing. That's under SIG testing by definition. But because there's a deep interaction between PRO and infrastructure, people confuse the ownership. So if you come to K10 for meetings, you may not get the answer you are looking for. You might get some guidance, but not necessarily the right answer to your question. And Prowl currently is more like in maintenance mode. It's really hard to get a hands on the Prowl maintainer because I would say the SIG is currently understaffed. So I don't say don't come to Cancer from meetings. I basically want to make sure basically you have your expectations set when you come to Cancer from, because you may not get the right answer for this. So I would
Right.
say come if you are interested, but also if you want to be a proud maintainer, I would suggest to go to sit texting meetings, which is like a bi-weekly meetings on Tuesday. It's gonna be late for you. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, that's like the only option.
Or
Duly
once you
noted,
start,
and
uh,
thanks for clarifying that.
yeah, I was just saying, once you start attending few of them and you do want a APAC meeting, do request that. But it's fine. Like maybe you can also use Slack for a sync conversation and maybe go through the recordings. Yeah, KDS Infra does a lot of Prow stuff, but they don't like really own it. It's testing, but a lot of all of infrastructure stuff is KDS Infra. It's still like really hard to put clear boundaries. You will still find like things that are owned by both areas. Yeah, what Arno said. um, but also Arno, I would love to just be sitting in those calls because you all discuss a lot of important stuff. Yeah, yeah. uh, Okay. Um, that's all good discussion, and we have 15 more minutes. So, anyone has any other things that they want to discuss, or I can just give like a FYI of the one thing that I put down on agenda. Yes. No, you don't have to raise hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like my subject I want to talk about. So
Yes.
this is
Sorry.
more like a part two of a conversation I started with SIG ContribEx. I think me, Justin, a few people want to build some kind of tool to improve the maintenance experience by consuming some AI service or basically AI tool. We're not exactly sure about what we want to do, but currently we believe that basically with the rise of AI and anything regarding that like deep learning, uh, Hugging Face, we think we want to like consume all of, I would say ride the hype to build some kind of tool that will basically improve the maintenance experience. But in order to do that, we need some kind of repo and maybe define a sub project under SIG ContribEx to make it happen because we need adoption from a SIG. And SIG ContribEx is currently I think is like the best suited for this.
Just a quick question, Arno. Is this
Yeah.
about the working group proposal that was, I think, presented by Justin?
It's not necessarily a working group because we
Yeah.
are not exactly sure about
Ye-
basically a working group will basically, I think there are two things. A working group will make sense if we want to define some policy about AI generate content, but that's not our goal here. We basically want like a sub project and a dedicated repo where we can do experiments.
okay. But is this related to the conversation that's happening there? Like, or
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
different?
yeah,
Oh, okay. It is
yeah.
related to the conversation. Because I heard about it in a ContribEx leads meeting from Kathleen. I think that proposal is from her colleagues from Google, and they have a draft for a working group proposal for ContribEx, and one of the requirements there was also a repo. So only thing we discussed. Okay, wait, like my camera just gave up. I'll turn it off. Only thing we discuss is if we could just get a maybe a list of what needs to be, what would be going, or if there is any existing like uh, experiment happening in someone's personal GitHub repo or something. We can just have some idea of what's going to be on that repo, and then I think repo won't be a problem. I would just go back to Kathleen and check what's the status of that working group conversation. And I don't know, just a question back, like if that working group also goes somewhere and we have a working group for the broader maintainer tooling, will this effort can uh, continue under that working group as well, or as part of that working group as well?
It's not
Like
really
fine.
clean because I think
Mhm.
the having a worker role is more about basically discuss what we want to do about the AI. But for the experiment, we basically have a very defined scope where we basically say, because in the working group, we can talk about everything. We can even suggest that a bot, we could basically have like AI generate content like as a pull request, which is not basically exactly what we want to do in the experiment because we basically want to be focused on, I think the one thing, just one use case to start with is just like be able to have some tools that will either explain the pull request or do code review for you.
Okay.
So I
uh,
don't think a working group for this. I don't think a working group for this is needed because a working group basically will. If we want to do a working group, it's more like how we basically use AI in general for any content in the project. Because I think there was a conversation about the blog post generate with AI. I think that's where I feel like the working group is a good thing. And
mhm.
by the way, I suggest a workshop in KubeCon to basically have this conversation. And I think maybe there we can have that conversation and decide if we want to
The
work.
upcoming KubeCon.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I'm waiting for
uh
the approval.
okay, yeah, yeah. So what I understood from that working group proposal, they have a few more things, but again, nothing is concrete. So we
Yeah.
have asked them to give some details. M- what about Anu? Can you just dump everything that you said in a K community issue? We can just get thumbs up or comments from people.
Yeah.
about the AI thing, and then I think repo won't be a problem. We can create a repo and add
Okay.
it to, yeah, some sub. Definitely, it would be a ContribEx area that will own that repo because of the whole project wide impact of this. Good impact if it is approved. But yeah, if we have some place to maybe track the conversation and get some votes or comments, that would be helpful. I will also go back and check what's the status of that working group, if
Yeah.
at all. um, we could maybe create a sub project and not working group, and move it
Because
under that.
yeah, the one of the limitation of working group is basically code ownership. If you
Yeah.
go with the part of the working group, we don't have code to own, we can't really experiment, which is kind of get tricky because I can have a working group for 3 months to basically define how we want to use AI, but by switching to a sub project, we might basically go in opposite way on what we conclude in the working group.
Okay. So if I understand the requirement, it's a repo that's owned, like there is a some owner,
Yeah.
so owned by ContribEx in this
Yes.
case, for experimenting first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And later, depending on the experiment, we can like basically say the experiment is done and this is the conclusion. And we share
Mm-hmm.
that with contributions and basically see what's happening next. Or we basically extend the scope of the tool. Because it's more like, especially with AI, there's a it's an area where Kubernetes maintainers are not the expert. So we're basically doing some exploring and pathfinding to identify exactly what we want to do to basically achieve the goal we define.
Okay. Okay. So I have captured the requirement. Uh, I think that if we could put that back in a tracking issue, we can need comments. I can bring it back to the ContribEx group. Um, and I action item on me is keep no. So is it something that's a proposal from you, or it's like a KIT input thing? Just
No,
trying to
it's more
understand.
like I don't have a specific art on this. It's just me
Yeah. Yeah.
seeing a few things in the KK repo, and I feel like we could solve some of those problems. We talk about
Uh-huh.
this as an conference in during KubeCon SLC. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
like I think the general subject was like it's complicated to contribute to Kubernetes. We don't have an exact solution for this because there's like it's also a non-technical issue. So I would say using AI tools is a way to try to address this. We're not exactly sure about the outcome of this. So we feel like maybe we can use AI and have like a specific agent to basically do stuff. So and to be transparent, GitHub is already doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have like GitHub Copilot that basically index you the repo, try to give some explanation. We just want something open and owned by the community instead of relying on existing tool. More like I would
Okay.
say we basically want to be responsible for the destiny of the tooling we have.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when GitHub AI Copilot will be GA for everyone, that's we're gonna see a lot of like contribution coming from GitHub Copilot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just want to check. There was a conversation about this in last meeting. I
Yeah,
think uh,
exactly.
you were there. Were you part of
I
that?
was not there, Justin was there. So I'm working with Justin and other people to basically try to basically for this experiment.
Yeah, I don't see anything that came out of that conversation. So okay, what I can do is I can take an action item and to start a conversation on the tracking issue
Yeah,
once we have
I
that.
will
And
try to
also,
find. I will find an issue and basically define the scope for the tool and basically tag the C
yeah.
ContribEx TL.
Mm-hmm.
We can more like have a back and forth conversation about this. Ultimately,
Perfect.
if my session proposal is approved for maintenance summit, we may have a bigger conversation during
Yeah.
KubeCon London.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, regardless, if we want to have a conversation, maybe we can just have few people, at least the contribx leads, and you and Justin, we can try. Yeah, but let's hope for the maintainer session. That's a better place.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Arno. I will bring it back to the contribx leads so that we know we have to uh, get on this. Dhaval, yes. And
Yeah, hi.
also,
So,
just time check, we have 3 minutes, so we might be running over. Whoever might be dropping before. Thank you for joining. Okay, Dhaval.
yeah.
Yeah, go.
Just a quick question, Priyanka. So, there are so many different things happening right now, and the document is also having a lot of things in it. Is there a better way to figure out what are the actual areas which are being worked upon? Unless so, what is happening right now that I have to continuously keep checking Slack or and even some of the things are missed in the document. So it is
Mm-hmm.
hard to figure out, where the efforts would be, better served for the
Uh-huh.
time being. Uh, Something
Okay.
maybe I am missing, or doing I'm approaching it the wrong way. But if you can just help me out with that.
No, you're not approaching it the wrong way. I think that's like a there is that's a state of that's a phase in everyone's journey when they start contributing to Kubernetes or even later. So I will just try to understand your question. Did you mean when you said document, did you mean this document, the meeting document, or some other document?
Yeah. So right now, point of truth for me that is being this document that what is being discussed. And then I
Uh-huh.
also go through the meeting videos on YouTube, but still it's sometimes not clear because of historical context is missing in that time to
Yeah.
understand what things are being worked upon, and maybe to figure out where I might be able to add some value. uh,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
there are some long-term goals for me, such as I want to understand Prow better, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a long-term goal. On a short-term level, it is hard to find something where I can figure out, that this is something that I can add some value to.
Yeah. Um, so I'll take those questions in part. The first one, what's the source of truth? Honestly, the information is very fragmented and it's in places like you mentioned, but ideally, in best case scenario, it should be meeting notes of every SIG. So, for example, this meeting note, which actually captures discussion from the APAC call and then the US call, uh, should have updates from each of the area that we own, which are actually these areas, events, mentoring, and so on. And the efforts happening under them should also be tracked here. Uh, are we doing a great job? Sometimes yes. Some meetings have very good notes. Some meetings don't have. That also might be the real reflection that sometimes we have active work ongoing under those areas. Sometimes we don't have, and the other part is also true that there is some conversation happening maybe on GitHub and nobody mentioned it back in this um, document. So that's a sad part. Ideally, it should be the meeting notes, which should be capturing at least all the help wanted areas, um, like where work is happening and work more help is needed. Um, Other than that, any um, any other what do you say? any specific SIG, if you have already like thought about contributing to that SIG, maybe what I do personally is I just keep a cursory check on the Slack channel of that SIG, maybe twice a day if I'm like super excited, or maybe once a day. I will just keep an eye on that channel to see if somebody actually put like a interesting thing there that I can help, or maybe I'll just read through it and keep myself up to date or posted about the ongoings and that SIG. Some SIGs are like really huge. For example, API machinery and even test and project. There is thousand things happening, and not all those people have. Like for us, not everyone can make to the calls, so they just use the Slack channels for individual tasks or issues. So I think, and then third place would be mailing list. So three places I would say you can look at. um, Number one would be the meeting notes. Number two would be the mailing list, because if there is something official by a SIG, like we were discussing a working group, and what would be the scope of that working group, or what kind of work is needed under that, once that discussion has happened and there is going to like once such decision has happened, all those information needs to go back to the community, so it will be communicated via mailing list as well. So big decisions for any SIG, any new tool, any new effort will be communicated by mailing list. So you can Slack, mailing list, and then the document. Slack is like a lot of async conversation. So some of it is something that you want, and most of it might be nice, and or just information to just like a reference. I don't know if that helped you. Prow, um, since you mentioned Prow, there is a channel for Prow as well, but does it discuss like Prow related requirement, like where what effort is being made? I honestly have no idea on that. I would say for specific tools, if some effort is ongoing, that would be tracked in the issues, the GitHub issues of that tool's GitHub repo. Now that became the fourth place. um, but yeah, that's how Kubernetes project is. We have sadly many places where information is available. Was this helpful at all, Dhaval? And if it is not, we can try to find out something better. Yeah. But I just want to know like any of it is.
No, no, I understood. Thank you for that, Priyanka. I think, yeah, I get the gist. Something similar that what was in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe that going into SIGs or particular channels for particular things and asking around would be the right way right now. I think everyone is talking about AI. I believe this should be one of the priorities to centralize all these different, places and get some summaries for each working group or SIGs, so everyone
Mm-hmm.
can be, it can be helpful in providing a summary of what things are being worked upon.
And I was
Yeah,
going to hint you back to the Kubernetes community website
yeah.
again. This should be like uh, the place where if somebody is just very new and want to like understand all the efforts that are being that are happening or being like worked upon under a certain SIG or a working group, uh, this should be the place. This is where that information is captured. The only thing is the information is captured here once it is decided. There is a lot of conversation that's like in conversation or in discussions, like not yet formalized. So for those kind of things, we definitely need to seek GitHub issues or Slack. But once anything is decided, you can find out like which area is owned by a particular SIG in Kubernetes slash community. And some SIGs do a great job here. They would have owners also listed here, and some would have like their own mailing list or uh, the repos listed there. So that information is there. It's not like the whole information that's needed, to be honest. But yeah. we K community is like the home for information about a certain area of Kubernetes. And this do link back to the mailing list and Slack channels and the forums that a particular SIG uses. So, I mean, you can start from K community, you as an anybody who is looking to check what a particular SIG does. They can just look at the working group and sub project sections and then scroll through it and see the links to the project. Uh, and at the top would be links to the meetings and the meeting agenda, mailing list. There is a charter also, but my experience, I have charter makes sense after very long. Um,
Right.
Sayak, you started like 6 to 8 months back, right? Do you have any advice for Dhaval or anything that you tried?
um, my advice would be like like I don't know like how to I might be saying it like it might come off in the wrong way, but I have been part of open source communities, not this big community, but I have been part of open source for some time before joining this one. So I had a bit of like I like the expectation around management of a open source project is something that I have an idea of. And I kind of pretty much understand that we cannot have like a management scale of operations of like an organization in an open source community. So these things like having like disparate areas of communication, information being available in multiple areas, and continuously like keeping up to date or on track with all the discussions that are happening in this area, it's kind of a challenge, but it's to me it's like something that I knew what I was getting into. And yeah, it's a challenge to keep up, but I guess that's something that
Yeah.
I know I have to do to be part of it. So I don't know, Priyanka, like I don't know how I
No,
can
I think you put it right. And I can maybe like add one thing that will make it like uh, maybe useful. So what happens, Dhaval, I'm just sharing like, my own experience and what Sayak also mentioned. Every time anybody gets started with Kubernetes specifically, it's a huge project, and the beginning is very hard to be really frank, hard because of the sheer size of the project. There is like so much happening just to keep up with everything, and then also decide like this is maybe before even take a decision like this is the area where I want to contribute to, or isn't I'm interested in, just to even figure out what all areas are. It takes a long time. Only thing I have figured out by spending years now is just stay here, like give it a few months. Uh, and by few months, I mean like 1 to 6 months. It might happen quickly. It might happen take some like it might take some time just to soak up information, like just to be comfortable with the surrounding, like how stuff is happening here, how much stuff is happening here, what kind of terminologies people are using on a day-to-day basis, where like somebody who you want to talk to is talking more frequently, kind of find those patterns. And like Sayak said, the information definitely is available in many places, but after some time you know that you do not have to like look at all four places. You might just be looking at one or two places because you have figured out that this is where I want my attention in, and I'm getting the required information from these two areas. I do not have to look on every other mode of information where like such information is shared. So that is a bit of a figuring out part in itself. But yeah, it just takes time, and I can't stress it enough that um, just spending time in a project like this also is very like learning, full of learning. You get to like learn how a project of this size work and what people are really talking about. Like there's a lot of AI conversation right now, and you will see not just contribx, you will see other SIGs are also maybe talking about AI in different use cases. It will take some time for us to even reach to a one converging point where all of the SIGs will put down all their use cases in one place and like do something about it. Maybe this conversation will happen and we might end up doing nothing about them. So sad part of having such a big project that also happened, but we have processes, they just take some time to get used to. So that will, I don't know if it made you super overwhelmed. I would just like uh, summarize it in a way, just spend some time, and it's okay to miss out on information in the first some months, because it's impossible to like just take all the information. Just and after some time, once you like start seeing some patterns, you will create your own like narrowed down scope of which areas you would want to look at. um, uh, Asking questions also help a lot of questions. And another thing I want to add, when we are a newcomer or a beginner to a community, any community, not just Kubernetes, but Kubernetes specifically, because there are like thousands of channels on this Slack, and hundreds of mailing lists, and I don't know, thousands and thousands of users on our GitHub orgs. It is really hard to respond to everybody, because the people who are to respond, like the people who have the context, are very less in comparison to the inflow of people who are joining the project every day. So they like use their attention for things that they are prioritizing in that moment of time, and it feels like, oh, we as a newcomer are not getting their attention. Everybody feels that, I have felt that. So getting attention also like takes some time, and it's not, I'm not saying it in a bad way, I'm just saying like maybe just like making yourself known, like I know you are double, just doing that by being in calls and just talking, uh, make bring some trust, and then people will help you with the queries that you are posting. So I would say just do that, like spend some time, ask a lot of questions, make yourself known, and then everything else will follow. And that's a way different track to what you asked, but yeah,
Also
patience
one
versus improving. Yeah, yeah, Sayak.
also one thing that I've realized very quickly was like I am a technical guy. I wanted to like contribute technically to Kubernetes, but I very quickly learned, and especially thanks to the new contributors meetings, like that was extremely helpful to like to like realign my goals. And that's why I joined like I started working with contribEx, and now with a bit docs too, because uh, like for even for contribEx and docs, I cannot keep my mind on everything that is happening in contribEx or everything that is happening in docs. I pretty much like took like a small portion of the thing that is upgrading the Hugo thing, right? And that is pretty much all I'm focused on right now, because if I start thinking about everything that is happening in contribEx, I'll again get overwhelmed. So I think for me it's a multi-year journey, and I'm trying to take it slow, one step at a time, and seeing how it goes. So yeah, so slow and steady is my
Yeah,
approach right now.
what you said is actually true, Sayak, and it's really hard to like remember it, because now you made me remember my journey. I started with a totally different thing in Kubernetes and also left. So anyway, what I eventually started was with Python client, which has nothing to do with contribx, and then I was doing release stuff, the release team stuff. And I went up to becoming release lead and emeritus advisor there. Nothing to do with contribx again. And then I did a lot of release tooling stuff there, sometimes testing, sometimes oath. And I did not like really do much there, but I there was phases when I had those areas had my attention. And eventually like what I realized, everything that I was doing there eventually helped me become a ContribEx lead, which was I also never imagined a path to becoming a lead that way. So uh, sadly, a lot. It is how it is. And what Sayak said, most people in the project actually are owning one or two areas, and that's how the project is surviving. Um, so it just takes time to like hit that thing, like this is my area and I'm going to spend mm, time on that particular, maybe like helping with upgrades. There are a lot of people who just do upgrades, and they are super duper important, like to keep up with all the CV reports that are coming from everywhere, and making sure we upgrade our core modules and dependencies across every single module, like HCD, container D, and then keeping up. Like if we are bumping core version, we have to create container images for them. We have to rebuild everything with that new container images. There's so much work. So there will be like a few people who will be owning just that part of that process. So that is how the Kubernetes project actually is working right now, and it is just working. As in, like it might not work if we lose those people. So we definitely need more people. Um, uh, it just takes time to like find out that one area where you want to spend your time for a bit, and it's perfectly okay when you are bored of that particular one area. Or if it's like in maintenance mode done, you can move to the next one. But that's how, yeah, it is. Now, well, one more thing before we like really stop, because I know, and I'll give you like 5 minutes at least to speak out all your thoughts. Uh, uh, Prow, like Arno said, is actually looking for people. So if that is something that you are looking for a long term thing, do just reach out to SIG testing people and just tell them like this is what I'm interested in. I'm doing this and this right now, just upskilling myself, but I'm looking for updates on any, and like I am willing to take on long term efforts in this project. Just let them know. Without letting them know, they will not know that you are there to help them. But Proud definitely is looking for people. There are people who used to maintain Prow and are doing thousand other things in the project, and they don't have the bandwidth to do Prow as well anymore. So it was a very open call, public call, that Prow needs maintainers, and in the Prow channel and SIG testing, I think. So yeah, please, I just wanted to like bring that to your notice as well. That is a thing. Okay, Dhawal, anything you want to say? Um, and I can also turn off the recording since we are way past our time. So thank you everyone who joined. Thank you everyone who still are on the call. I will stop the recording now.